Hey guys, I am here today with this. This is the all-new Lucid Gravity. Let's get into it. So the Gravity is the first SUV from the electric car company Lucid. Why have you heard of that? Because the amazing Lucid Air. You can see my video here. So that was a sedan that was really, really special. And then it's like a really great band, right? How do you follow up with that? With a 3-row SUV? That's gonna be big and clunky, right? Let me tell you more. Okay, so let me give you some staggering stats. So the range on this vehicle is 450 miles. Yes, that's more than the Tesla Model X, more than the EQS, and almost as much as the ginormous Cadillac IQ, right? They're within, I don't know, 30 miles or something of each other. That's pretty remarkable. But then when you pair that with a tremendous amount of power, amazing steering, really good suspension, air suspension at that, you get really close to 7-seater supercar territory. Towing capacity. I know, she's pretty. You're worried about putting that horse trailer behind it or even your jet skis. I know you are, but 6,000 pounds. That's what you can tow in the Lucid Gravity. Kind of nice. All right, guys, let's talk about charging. I know with 450 miles of range, you're not going to necessarily need to do that much, but here's a hot tip. I just should have led with this, honestly. So the Lucid Gravity has native Tesla charging, right? So basically it means you can go up to a Tesla supercharger, plug your car in. You don't have to have an adapter, worry about you have to have the Tesla app. No, you do all of that through your Lucid app, no problem. And they've created a system that I'm going to get the engineers to explain why it's nearly native charging, which is fantastic. In some cases, may even charge better at a Tesla supercharger than a Tesla itself. Is that even possible? We're going to find out.
Amelia.
Hey Scotty, are we having fun?
I'm having a good time. What do you think about this car? We are in the Lucid Gravity, 3-row SUV, and with that context, what do you think of this car?
I mean, it's so funny because I love the Lucid Air, as we talked about, and I got in this car and immediately thought it was going to feel just like the Air, and it doesn't, but that's a good thing. Many times while I was in the driver's seat, I forgot that I was driving a car this big because it does have so many supercar qualities. Mm-hmm. The acceleration is insane. Scotty, you're not going to show us that right now, right?
Not on this road. No, ma'am.
Not on this road, but she'll show you later.
But I will.
And the steering is so precise. As you can see, we're going on a really windy road. I love the suspension, but I feel like it drives so much smaller than the footprint of this car.
I am going to say, though, compared to the Air, you sit down lower, has a lower center of gravity, and you feel the sedan. This, I feel the SUV. I feel the higher ground clearance. What I don't feel is what I'm hauling around in the back.
Yes.
I don't feel the length, but I do feel the height. Even with the height, I still feel the suspension is great because it doesn't slosh you around in the car the way some do, even those with low center of gravity. You can feel like you're being tossed around. I don't feel like that at all.
Guys, I'm sitting here with Kyle Ness from Lucid. Kyle and I sat across from each other, well, next to each other at dinner last night, and turns out we're both car dorks. We had a really good time.
Yes, it was a ton of fun.
Kyle, tell me your title here at Lucid.
Yeah, I'm the chief engineer for the Gravity.
So the reason I wanted to talk to him today was I knew he was a car guy. I'm a car girl, obviously, but I lost the vocabulary to communicate how this drives because this car is so special and it's so weird, right?
It is. Yeah, it's a very unique experience.
It is a unique experience. This is a 3-row SUV with 909? Is that the number?
Foot-pounds of torque and 828 horsepower.
Okay,
Yeah.
so like you've got 3 rows here. Like that doesn't make any sense. And sure, that sounds like a lot. You're like, whatever, okay. Like the Hummer EV does crazy things. So does the Escalade IQ. But here's the thing. When you drive this, you don't feel like you're driving a 3rd-row SUV.
No.
And I did autocross in it today. What? So talk to me. I mean, I know we went through this ridiculous presentation and we talked through a lot of that really technical stuff.
Sure.
But you and I both know that if we go through that right now, half of these people are going to glaze over. And that's not what I'm here to do at Motorhead Mama. What I want to do is break this down in simple terms.
Right.
Can you talk us through that in a simple?
Sure, yeah. Like, I guess how I look at it, when you're driving a vehicle,
Yeah.
it shouldn't matter what it is at the end of the day. The experience is what matters. So, and it's
Fair.
the blending of the attributes that are important. So like you said, we could go into specs and that's
Yes.
not what's important here.
Yes.
But what's important is, as you said, when you're driving it, you actually lose the realization. You come into a totally different space. You're like transported into this different space where it's just you and the road.
Yeah.
And the experience of driving.
Yep, that's interesting. I mean, when I drive my X5M, I'm never, I mean, sometimes I itch for a convertible, but I'm not itching for a performance car. Sometimes I itch for a manual transmission. Who are we kidding? But when
Yeah.
you're driving this, you got a little bit of road feel that made you feel like I'm driving an SUV, but you weren't, your itch was being scratched,
Yeah.
which
yeah,
was
it is.
really nice.
Well, and I hope you got to experience the dynamic nature of smooth through sprint.
Yes.
And we talked about that. And I
Yes.
said a lot of car companies, it's just a button you press and it has a pretty graphic and it changes. It doesn't mean anything.
Yes.
But like that really transports the experience
Yeah.
from a proper, comfortable
Yes.
SUV where you're just going about life and
Yes.
you're not worried about the outside. It's quiet, it's plush. And then you're like, ooh, that looks like a fun road. I hope you used the button I showed you. You
I
click that
did.
button twice.
Yep.
You're in sprint, you
Yep.
go through it, and all of a sudden, wait, I'm in a sports car.
So what he's talking about are the drive modes. And you guys know, like when I tell you every time when you're test driving a car, go through those drive modes. And sometimes it's just like changing the lighting, and sometimes it's just changing the throttle or the exhaust, or sometimes it's actually just nonsense. But it's always important. But you're right, in this car, it became a different vehicle, right? Like it was still comfortable, but all of a sudden it could do all these things that I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's because it ties in so many of the senses we talk about. Body roll, so you're changing,
Yes.
damper, spring rates, throttle response,
Yeah.
steering input, so it actually is getting heavier.
Right.
And that's what you want when you're driving more aggressive. You don't want a nice, like, soft,
No.
luxurious feel, because that all of a sudden is what contributes to you to not being confident in a corner.
Right.
So you want more steering feel. So
When I'm driving a Tesla, or most electric cars, when I get to a sharp turn, you gotta let off the gas, baby. You're not going to accelerate through that. That's just not gonna happen. We went through these crazy windy roads today,
Yes.
and I kept literally saying to myself, I actually can trust this car. I would go through a windy turn a little faster than maybe I should have, and I was like, wow, it can do this for me. I didn't expect that.
yeah, and I mean, that's where really this is the 22, 23-inch
Yes.
summer tires.
Yeah.
And then, David talked a lot about our in-house traction control that we did with brake
Right.
traction control
Yeah.
and motor traction control.
Dual, yeah.
Exactly. And giving you the confidence to be able to have that front end biting and
Yeah.
pulling you into the corner. So the
Right.
team has done an amazing job
So cool.
ensuring when you tell the car to do something,
Yeah.
it does it.
And if you guys are sitting here and you're like, I'm not a performance driver, Motorhead Mama, you're the crazy one, I hear you. But are you gonna go skiing or snowboarding? Are you gonna drive on some dirt roads? Oh, hi, have you ever been caught in a hailstorm? All of these things become relevant in an EV and with the traction control. And what's interesting is what I'm hearing you say is it's seamless here. I don't
Right.
necessarily have to turn anything on or off or put it in some special mode for it to save my life.
That's so important, and we've actually talked about that a lot internally, is that the car should know what it needs to do at all times.
Yeah.
And you talk about like everyday use cases, and people may be like, I don't care about
Yeah.
driving off-road.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned to you at dinner this example of, I was out skiing.
Yes.
We were driving up a hill and the snow had melted on one side of the road and it had ice. On the other side, where the driver's side tire was pavement.
Yep.
And that's something we call split mu traction. And it's actually pretty challenging for a car because the right side wheels really want to spin on the ice,
right,
while the left have a lot of traction.
Yeah.
And the problem is you can lose your ability to move forward with an open differential.
Right.
And with our in-house brake traction control, we're able to actually build up the effective torque like a diff would do, and let you go up, and you would never even notice that happened.
So when he's saying all that stuff, it basically means the car, through your electronics, essentially, right?
Yes.
The car can grab, even if the wheels have different textures to grab onto, it figures that out without you having to do anything.
Yeah, and
right?
said another way is basically in other cars, it would create a scary situation.
Yes.
You wouldn't even know you were on it in this car.
Right. So the adaptive cruise control is called Dream Drive, which you activate with just a push of a button. Here I go. Now I want to turn up my max, which I'm just doing now, to be a little over the speed limit. Nothing crazy, going 60 in a 55 zone. So my hands are still on the steering wheel. And it's telling me it's slowing down for the curve. The engineers were very intent on telling us that because their sensors are so good, that their hands-free driving was going to be fantastic. Thus far, this is pretty great. I know that if I put on my turn indicator, it'll change lanes for me. But obviously I'm not going to do that over a double line. Okay, hands off. For the record, I am nervous. Just so you know. Hey guys, so I'm here in the Lucid Gravity and I was just complaining to Esther, who is a mechanical genius, about how seat bolsters frustrate me because they're not tight enough for me and I roll around in my seat, and so she's going to show me how to adjust them. Let's do it. All right, let's do it.
So that should be going in, right?
Yes.
Nice.
Now, as for this interface, like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on here. It's also a garbage truck. Can you guys hear that garbage truck? Sorry. There's a lot going on here, but more importantly, I've got smooth, I've got swift, and I've got sprint. Those are your drive modes. Please use them. So much fun, you guys. If you don't use your drive modes, I'm gonna be sad, so please. Temperature, easy. So here's what's nice. We've got real buttons, right? And then you can also do everything on this screen. So there's a little bit of redundance. And then also we've got these little pads here, touch pads. When they previewed this vehicle, I looked at these little track pads and I was like, I'm not using that. Those are dumb. But I actually just used it and I didn't have an issue. I didn't have an issue even using it with my left hand, which I didn't expect. All right, because we always do this, let's just do this. Where can I put stuff, right? Woo, nice little compartment here. I've got two static cup holders. I've been told this does fit a Stanley. I wish they were a little different, but whatever, I'm not gonna complain about that. So the charge pad is here and where you can put your phone. Honestly, it's really, oh look, I just found somebody's phone. Anyway, what's nice about this is it's rubberized here in a really nice way. Usually this is like cheap plastic. All the touch points here are nice. You guys, they're nice. I say that as like a design snob, right? This is Alcantara, walnut, like all the touch points feel snazzy. Tesla would have been broken by now. Often I hate these screens. The car that I drove up here, the steering wheel was up here. I missed half of this. It made me absolutely nuts. This layout is actually really nice and just the right size. And as I can show you guys, sitting in the passenger seat is nice too. You've got a lot. Hey guys, I just want to talk to you about being a passenger in the Lucid Gravity. So my friend Scotty Reese is here from Girls Guide to Cars, and she's doing a great job driving around this insanely windy road. But frankly, so is the Gravity. The suspension is really nice. This beautiful airy cabin, like I don't know if you guys can see, but I just have a lot of space around me. And P.S., this is a third row vehicle. This is a big boy. You forget how big this car is because you don't necessarily feel it. But being a passenger is really nice. Let me just show you a little bit about what it's like looking the other way. So as a passenger, here I am. Look at all my leg room. Yay, fantastic. It just feels like there's a mile between me and this enormous windscreen, which is really nice. But I can easily reach these controls for my co-piloting purposes. Obviously, I've got my cup holder here. There are lots of places to put stuff. But what's nice in this car is as I'm accessing these things, you know, I'm not really infringing upon the driver's personal space. I feel like I've got a lot of room here. And if you're a larger person, you're gonna have a lot of room here. Very, very comfy. I like it.
And do you feel like if you were sitting in the back on this road, do you think you'd be feeling car sick?
You know what? There's only one way to find out.
Risk puking.
Yes, I am going to risk puking for you, Scotty.
All right.
I think we should do it.
All right, let's do it.
All right,
let's do it.
One sec. Okay, guys, here I am in the back seat. This back seat is enormous. I don't even know how to tell you how much leg room I have. I'm 5'6", but I can stretch my legs out all the way. And P.S. Oh, there's a row behind me, and my driver, Scotty, can you hear me up there, Scotty?
What?
She's miles away from me. This thing is huge.
It doesn't feel huge, and it doesn't drive huge.
No.
But it's a lot of interior space.
I'm really glad I got back here because I really had no sense when I was driving up there how big this would feel. Now, the $1 million question is, am I gonna throw up? Stay tuned for that update. This is a really windy road, and I do tend to get car sick, particularly in Ubers and stuff like that. The back of Ubers and Tesla Model Ys are the worst for me because the suspension is so stiff and the car doesn't give it all. Honestly, I'm not having any issues right now. And it's windy up there. This is nice. Okay, let's get in the third row. Okay. What's going on back here? This is snazzy. Okay. All right, guys, here I am. So the second row is where it's supposed to be. Here I am in the third row. Here's my leg room. What? When was the last time I was in a third row that felt like grown up? Crazy. I love it. I've got a cup holder here, got a little place to put stuff here. There are only 2 seats, which is fine. That's totally fine. But honestly, guys, like, this is comfy. It's wild. Sorry, I'm just a little kind of shocked that this is so nice. When was the last time I was in a third row that was this nice? I don't know, Volvo? Geez, this is really nice. I'm digging it. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous third row. All right, so one of the things that they keep telling us about this is all the interior cargo room, right? That it's got more than the EQS, that it's got more than the Rivian R1S. And one of the places you don't expect that is this frunk, right? So it's got a frunk with a seat. I've got a plug here, but frunk tricks are fun. But you know what's a lot more fun than a frunk trick? Sitting in a passenger seat in the second row or even the third row with heaps of legroom. Check it out. All right, really basic, guys, but how do you open this thing? I know. There's a little switch in here that's hard to find, but you're gonna put your hand in here and pull back. Easy, done. But it's not a, you know, what's nice about how they've done that is they've hidden the ugly, you know, what could be a very ugly handle and covered it in walnut. Yum. Okay, guys, I'm here in the third row. Let's talk about what I didn't love about this car. I'm a little concerned about this big sunroof. What they told me is that this glass has a layer of metal in it so that it reflects light, and so you don't have a big UV issue, which is really nice. Because I don't want to put on more sunblock. I'm sure you don't, and I sure as heck don't want my kids sunburned in the third row. I have to deal with enough sunblock. Yeah, this car's expensive. This car's also really nice. Like, you're never gonna drive this car and be like, it's not really worth the money. One thing you should know if you're thinking about getting this car is there is going to be a learning curve. There's a lot of technology. Do you have to use it all? No. I don't think it's the kind of thing where you're going to get in and be like, I can't figure out where blah, blah, blah is, but there's a lot of technology. They don't expect you to use it all, so that's fine. As long as you can find where you open the glove box, right? Where your seat warmers, where your steering wheel warmer, seat coolers. I found the massage button, don't miss that. And the drive modes. I mean, most of you probably won't even use the drive modes. There's more technology than you could ever use in this car. That's probably what I want to tell you. But don't worry about it. That's fine.
You have it. The all-new Lucid Gravity. 7-seater supercar? Kinda. Let me know what you think in the comments.